Welcome back to the Fitness, Wellness, and Longevity Podcast. In today's episode, my special guest is author RJ Rise. RJ and I sat down, we talked about his brand new book, The Ultimate 5 Squad, the process of creating this book, being a positive light in a negative world, overcoming adversity in his own life, and so much more. Guys, if you like today's podcast, make sure you subscribe, rate, review, share it with your friends, and enjoy this episode of the Fitness, Wellness, and Longevity Podcast. RJ, it's great to see you, buddy.
Yes, long time no see. I know.
Isn't this incredible? Shout out to Delray Beach Public Library here in Delray Beach, Florida for offering their amazing facilities here for us as we do this little interview here. I know you're shorter in time here, so let's get down to it. It's very apropos that we're here at a library because I reached out to you because specifically about some literature that you've created recently, and I'd love to hear more about it. Can you tell me about the new endeavor that you've been on over the last, I want to say 2+ years?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Thank you, Sean, for having me again. My name is RJ Rise, the author of the Ultimate 5 Squad Action Book and Activity Book. And so you're right. In 2018, I was inspired to work on this project. And what inspired me, what sparked the idea, was watching 2 movies. One was Crazy Rich Asians, and the other one was Black Panther. And what both movies showed was, well, initially, they didn't think that movies led by non-white characters would do good at the box office. You had to have a white male, white female as a co-character or co-lead. Yes. Because otherwise it may not do well. And so what those movies prove is having an all Asian cast and having a primarily all Black cast could do well at the box office. And so they both set box office records. And so I watched these 2 movies and I said, if you show us how we see ourselves in a positive light, we're going to go out and support. Right? We don't want to be stereotyped as the cook or the driver or the thug or the gangster. We're doctors, we're entrepreneurs, we're business people. We want to see ourselves reflected on screen like we see ourselves. And so it gave me an idea. And I said, you know what? Kids need to see characters that they can inspire to be like, people that will inspire them to aim for more. And so I said, well, we definitely do have Black Panther. We have other characters and there's other authors like myself that have their own universe. And I said, I could add my twist to it. You know, I want to have 5 friends who come together to save the world. And so I created these 5 characters. We have Destiny, Jaden, Q, Jada, and Bronx. And together they come when the world is facing a crisis. And so in the book, robot aliens are coming to invade planet Earth, and Earth sends their experts, to go solve this problem. But one by one, they fail. And so while this is happening over the course of about a week, these 5 friends are coming together saying, did you see how that happened? Did you see how they got defeated? And so they're working on a game plan. They come together, they go to Bronx's lab. And after 2 days of hard work, they create these AI powered suits. And with these suits, they go out and they save the day. And so that's what inspired me. That's where we're at with the book. And we not only have the book that tells the full story, but also the activity book. Because it's one thing to read the story, but with the activity book, it helps a child go through these activities to help them think more of themselves. And so, for example, one of the pages, it'll say smart is cool. So the child has to trace smart is cool. And as they go through the book, the progress bar increases. So in the beginning of the book, they're not quite a superhero yet. They're not quite thinking like a superhero. So their progress bar is 8. But as they continue on through the book, it gets to be 100. So for, this page, it says, circle your answer. But to become a superhero, you first have to believe in yourself. Circle how a superhero should think. And then, in this box it says, or in this circle it says, it's okay to be scared, but don't give up. So that's how a superhero should think. So they circle it, they add their own, they finish this page and they move on and so forth. And by the end, they become the superhero. They have that mindset of a winner. And then they see how our 5 friends also became a winner.
Very interesting that what I picked up on there was that there is one of these chicken or the egg kind of mentalities when it comes to being the hero. Do you believe you're the hero first and then do heroic things? Or do you do heroic things and then you become the hero? In your mind, which is it for you?
In my mind is changing the mindset, right? Because sadly, we do live in a negative world. People are just so quick to point out our negatives. And with children, they absorb that so quickly, even as adults. I think there's a saying that if someone tells you, hey, Sean, nice hat, the endorphins, the feelings that you feel are great. But if I said, oh, that's an ugly hat, Sean, the next person or people, 16 people, right, have to come along after me to say, no, Sean, it's a really nice hat. Oh, Sean, I love your watch. Oh, Sean, I love your t-shirt. Sean, you're looking great. So you need to hear 16 positive compliments to make up for that one negative thing you heard. And so I think our mindset are just, we're just quick to point and put people down. And so we don't believe we're heroes because we think it's for other people. We can't be a hero. Why me? Like, I have nothing special. Why can I be a hero? And so this changes the mindset of a child to realize, oh, I just have to make the decision to act. If I see something wrong, if I see another peer being bullied, if I see a kid doesn't have food for lunch today, I could be a hero by just my act. And so that's what the book teaches here. And so I do believe it's that way.
That's awesome. Now, this is a pretty progressive mindset in terms of maybe where we were, let's say, even 20 years ago. The idea that, we have this goodness inside of us, it just starts with that belief. Can you call back on experiences within your own life where your back was against the wall and you had to become the hero yourself?
When was it my back against the wall? Man. Let's start. This is going to be deep. You got a couch? So
you go as deep as you want there, RJ.
My back's been against the wall, Sean, for as long as I can remember. I moved from Canada to New Jersey. And a typical things with Caribbean families, with Haitian families is when, so I live with my mom. It was my mom and I, single parent household. She moved down to Florida. She met her now husband, my stepfather. Instead of me moving in with them, I moved in with my aunt and uncle. But back in those days, they didn't tell you, the child, hey, this is what's going to happen. Are you okay with that? Like this is what's going to happen. No. They just do it and you have no say so, right? You just know I'm going to go from this house to this house. And so now my support system, my family who I knew, right? My mom was now gone and I had a new family, right? And this in our cultures, it's done sometimes to thicken you up, to make you a little stronger. Because who knows, they didn't think that my mom could raise me with my stepdad. Maybe it wouldn't be a structured enough environment. So by putting me with my uncle, a male father figure, it would toughen me up. So my back was against the wall at that early stage, right? Having to adapt to a new environment, new culture, new language, didn't know the school system. I went from speaking French to one day now having to learn English, not knowing what the teacher was saying up at the board, getting F's after F's after F's, failing my 4th grade year because I wasn't smart. I just didn't have the tools. And so, back was against the wall at that point. Fast forward in my 20s, I blame myself, no one else, but I became homeless, lived in my car, and was embarrassed and ashamed to share that with family, with friends. I later on told some friends, and they said, "Dude, if you would have just told us, we have an extra bedroom, extra this." And I said, I just didn't want to bother anybody. I felt ashamed, felt embarrassed, so I would go to LA Fitness, shower. Go to McDonald's, eat, and that was my routine. Work, LA Fitness for showering, and that was it. I would sleep in my car and commute to work as if nothing. I wanted to fit in and not be different from anybody else. And so, yeah, my back's been against the wall plenty of times, but it's, I do think in life, things happen to you for a reason, and it's made me stronger, right? Do I wish it happened? Maybe not, but I'm thankful for it. I didn't die. I survived. I became stronger mentally, physically. And with that as my background, I want to help change the lives of children. So I see them going through what they're going through, and they may think, I can't relate. I mean, look at you. Yeah, but you look at me now, but you don't know what I was a few years back, right? So I definitely want to make that impact on kids. And yeah, so my back's been against the wall plenty of times.
So you mentioned the word shame there. And it seems like right now you are seeing the other side of the shame, right? In terms of the fruits of what happens when you overcome shame. What were the points where you had to look at that and go, does this serve me anymore? Because you did eventually, what seems like through this process, you had to collaborate with others.
Mm-hmm.
As one of my mentors says, success is in the agencies of others.
Yes.
You got to reach out for help in this project here.
Mm-hmm.
How did it go from feeling that shame to now embracing others' help?
Yeah. Little wins, just little wins here, little wins there. It doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just start knocking at the biggest, influencer's door or the biggest, Oprah's door overnight. It's these little bites, little steps. In 2009, if I'm not mistaken, childhood obesity was all over the news. You couldn't turn on the news without hearing the word childhood obesity. I was a PE teacher, and I looked around my classroom and I said, you know what? We're fine. These kids are good. But what I knew is that this is an affluent school. This is a private school. Parents have access to Whole Foods, to healthcare. What about the other kids on the other side of the track, literally on the other side of Dixie Highway? These kids don't have access to me or the other adults or people in their lives that can make a difference. And so I said, let me do something about it. So I started a fund run, my very first one for for childhood obesity. What I ended up doing was I didn't know anything about it, but I reached out to the local sneaker store. I believe they were called Runner's Edge, if I'm not mistaken, in Boca Raton on Federal Highway. And I forget the name of the gentleman, but he connected me with another gentleman who was retired, but loved to set up these things for fun. Like that was just his passion right now because he had retired. And so he helped me understand about the bib situation, the finish line, the medals, this, that. I reached out to the WNBA, the NBA, the NFL, Jamba Juice, I believe Starbucks, and they all chipped in. They all gave some free stuff for the event for the kids. I asked my coworkers if they would come out on a Saturday, I think it was, on a Saturday morning to help me give out the medals, set up the finish line, set up the start line, set up everything. Would you come out and help me? Every single one of them did. The principal showed up. He looked around. He goes, I can't even get them to stay for after school meeting. You got them to come on a Saturday morning at like 5 a.m. And it showed me the power of one, my voice. It showed me the power of if you think something, it could actually come true in real life. If you think it, you can will it. It could happen. And so it taught me I had a voice that if I thought something, I can make it happen in the real world. And it showed me that I was good enough of a person. I had good karma, good energy, good reciprocity in the world that my coworkers would say yes. They would give up a Saturday to be with their families, with their children, to say, you know what, I'm going to help you out for about 5-6 hours on a Saturday. And so these little things along the way, but that event itself changed my world. It allowed me to realize that I can create something. If I think it, I could do it. And so it's just been little wins after that, taking smaller bites at the bigger, at life. And so by the time I got to this book, yes, I realized that teamwork is important. If you reach out to people, they'll say yes. They may say no. You'll get a lot of rejections. You don't know unless you ask. And so I partnered with a terrific illustrator. When I do author read out louds and I'm finished reading the book to kids via, whether it's Zoom or whether it's face-to-face, the number one question is, how did you draw and how did you color? And it's all about the illustration. So I give him so much props. He did a great job with that. And collaboration, reaching out. And once you start having these small little wins, people look at you and they go, wow, this is the guy or the gal who did this and who did that. And so there's an energy around you. People want to be part of what you're doing. They're willing to say, I'll do this for free. What you got going on? You need help, but you got to do the work first. You got to put yourself out there, put one foot in front of the other. And then the world will know, okay, he's doing something. She's doing something. Let me see how I can contribute to this bigger picture.
So it seems like, there's like an adage, there's a person sitting by the side of the road, sitting in their car with a sign, help me, versus the person who is pushing their car from behind, trying to get it up the road. You're more likely to help that person. Would you attribute that? Would you believe in that analogy within yourself? If you want help from others, help yourself first.
Yeah. People are attracted to that. They want to see that you're going somewhere, that you're pushing that car up the hill to go somewhere. There's a destination. But if you're just sitting there saying, help me, where's the beauty in that? You're just asking for help. But yeah, I like that analogy.
I'm going to go back a little bit because there probably was a moment or moments within your life where you said, I'm done. This is it. And I imagine there's probably someone who might be listening to this going, yeah, like that's easy for you, but you don't know my story, RJ. I have this, and this going on.
Yeah.
If you were to give a couple words of advice, not even advice, but just what would you say to that person? Because in some sense, you were that person. The story that you just told, that's pretty, that's as low as you can go, especially within the confines of what we're talking about.
And I want to say, I still sort of am that person.
Yeah,
I haven't.
That's a great point.
I don't know that you could ever get so successful or so. You have a lot of millionaires and billionaires who are struggling with depression, who are unhappy. So I'm not out of the woods, but I see the light. I don't think I've made it. I can't rest on any laurels. I can't rest on my yesterday's success. Yesterday was yesterday. These next 24 hours and the ones coming are totally different. Yes, they build on one another, but it could surely collapse. But to answer your question better, you were saying, how do I tell someone that?
Yeah. So what would your words of advice be to when somebody has lost all hope?
All hope.
Because I imagine that you probably had a point where you go, that's it, man. I don't know if I can pick myself up from this.
Yeah. Again, we're going deep. Where's that couch? So
I'm sorry if
it's okay.
We jump right into the deep end here. We've only got a certain amount of time with you there, RJ. You're a very busy guy.
No, this is good because you know what? Sharing my story can help. We all have a story. It's not what you may see on the outside. You don't know what the person's been through. At age 9, and I posted about it on Instagram, and it's probably got the most comments, I think, that and the Kelly Clarkson appearance, but it's got probably the second amount of comments and likes. At about age 9 to age 11, if I had gone through with it, that would have been my last day on earth. I wouldn't be in this room today. So I had enough. A 9-year-old child, right? Like had enough of the world and the pressure and the sadness and everything that was coming at me. And I vividly remember I walked upstairs because I was in the basement. I walked upstairs. I went into the kitchen. I opened up the drawer. I grabbed the knife and I held it. I held it to myself with tears just pouring. Not realizing if I do this is it. But maybe I did know. Maybe I figured this was my way out of this sadness because I didn't want to feel this anymore and it would not get better. This was it for me going forward. And I held that knife and I cried and I cried and I cried. And eventually, luckily, common sense or maybe a bigger cause, a greater cause than myself came over me and said, no, this is not how your story ends. Put it back and did the best I could going forward to live. But that moment made me realize how much I rather live than die. I love life, right? Like I'd rather be here and I'll figure it out. I'll figure something out. but I don't want the opposite. Like lights out, darkness forever. I don't want that. So whatever being on earth has in store for me, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to battle it, but I'm not going to just quit. I think I owe it to myself to try. Let me just try. And so for anyone that's going through a situation where they say, well, it's easy for you to say, I'm not saying it's easy. It's never easy. And I think when you're in the moment, if you're in that moment, it's daunting. It's dark. You don't see the light. You don't. It's all pitch. It's all dark. It's all gloomy. But ask yourself, what if you were here for another 24 hours? Okay, let's just say you were going to, end it. Let's say you were giving another 24. What could you do? What could you do so differently in those 24 that you haven't done previously, right? Just push yourself a little bit. Find something a little different that you can do that you haven't done. A lot of us don't push ourselves mentally to think outside the box. We push ourselves physically. We'll go for a run. We'll go for a gym, but we don't try to think outside the box. What haven't I done yet? What haven't I tried yet? Because that little something that you haven't tried yet could be the key, to the next, 20 years of living a better life. And so, no, it's not easy. Once you're in that moment, it's dark. For me, at least I could say that I thought that being on earth was better than not. And so I pushed and I'm here. And also you got to find, and they always say that you got to find a purpose greater than you, right? If you're just living for yourself, it's fine. It's fine. But man, if you gotta, I think a lot of parents can understand this, but when you have children, you fight for them, you live for them, you breathe for them. So if you find a purpose, whether it's feeding the homeless, whether it's, ending war, whether it's whatever it is, if you have a purpose that's greater than you, I find that it pushes you even more to think outside the box and then do good on earth.
RJ Rise, author of The Ultimate 5 Squad, coming here from Delray Beach, Florida. Thank you so much for coming today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. Awesome.
Thanks again to RJ for sitting down and talking with me today. His book is available now, The Ultimate 5 Squad, on Amazon.com and his website, ultimate5squad.com. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. And if you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe, rate, review, share with a friend, and we will see you next time with a brand new episode of the Fitness, Wellness, and Longevity Podcast.